2 weeks ago I shared a tier list video for PvE and today we will discuss PvP. For this, we will have 3 different tiers and I believe that will be enough to find a place for every class. Before we start, I want to mention that I mostly play with my 3k account in Battlegrounds, but I also have an account with 7k resonance as well. So this tier list will be based on my experience with these accounts. Of course, you might disagree with some of the things I am going to say and that's alright. Please share your opinions in the comments section. Other than that, my main focus while creating this tier list is the impact of the classes on winning. Because I think winning the game is more important than getting good stats on a losing team. I mean, individual stats don't even mean much at the end of the day. By the way, even though I'm dividing classes into 3 tiers, the gap between these tiers is not that huge. What I mean by that is you can perform really well with any of the classes if you are familiar with that specific class. Anyways, let's start with the top tier and I think we can put Necromancer and Crusader into this tier right away. Let me explain why. Well, Crusader is the one and only real tank class we have in the game. I don't really consider Barbarian a tank class because their skill set is not fit for that. Other than that, I think Crusader is the most important class to have in your team to get a win. I am sure you are getting matches against 1 or 2 Crusader on the enemy team while you don't have any. In those types of games, the team with Crusaders have the advantage from the start. Of course, I am assuming those Crusaders play with decent builds. Other than that, Crusader is a pretty easy class to play when you compare it to the other glass cannon classes. Next one on this tier is Necromancer. Well, we have Necro here because you can literally play however you like with this class and be impactful. For example, you can play with a full CC build and be really annoying, you can play with a support build and buff your teammates, or you can mix those builds up and play CC and support at the same time. Other than that, you can deal a decent amount of damage as well depending on your set items. Plus, Necromancer is probably the best option for free-to-play players since it's a ranged CC based class, and on top of that, a good Necromancer definitely can help their team to get the win. Now let's talk about our second tier. In my opinion, Blood Knight and Wizard deserves to be in this tier. Well, let's quickly explain why. First, Blood Knight is probably the best class to kill enemy backlines and that's basically all you can do with it, which is more than enough, and this used to be the role of the monks, but nowadays Blood Knight is better at doing that. And next one is the Wizard. Actually, I thought about adding the Wizard to the top tier, but I decided not to, because Necromancer definitely offers more than a Wizard in general. By the way, I really like Wizard even though it's very easy to kill since it's a glass cannon class, but you can deal a really high amount of damage with certain battle mage builds and you can be as annoying as Necromancer with the CC builds. So that's why Wizard is on this tier. And finally, we have our lowest tier. Like I said, the gap between tiers is not that huge, and if you are good at your class, you can play really well with the remaining classes too. As you can imagine, we have Demon Hunter, Barbarian and Monk on this tier. I know some players play with these classes and they can perform better and help their teams better than top tier classes like Necromancer and Crusader. But from my experience, most of the player base performs worse with these ones because other classes are in a better shape in the current meta. But if we are going to decide between these 3 classes, I think playing with a Barbarian will be better for casual players since it's easy to play with when you compare it to Demon Hunter and Monk. Other than that, nowadays Monk is a really good support class that can help their team, but Crusader is just a better support than a Monk, and Blood Knight is just better at killing the enemy backlines, so Monk is kinda stuck in between, but still a fun class to play with. And lastly, we have Demon Hunter. There are few good Demon Hunter players that can cause problems in Battlegrounds, and that shows you that the class has some potential. But 90% of the Demon Hunters literally doesn't have any impact on the games since all they do is die while they try to get some kills. With the recent patch, I am seeing some players using traps and summons which can make this class more fun to play, but I think Wizard is just a better damage dealer, so these are the reasons why I keep Demon Hunter on this tier. Well, in conclusion, Crusader and Necromancer at the top tier, Wizard and Blood Knight at the middle tier, and Demon Hunter, Barbarian and Monk at the last tier. But remember what I said, if you are really good with a certain class or if you really enjoy playing with a certain class, any of these doesn't matter, just play the game however you like it, but always try to help your team. I think that's all I want to say about the current PvP tier list. I will update this list when the meta changes again. Until then, enjoy the game and take care.